Hello there. Yeah, so I was watching the reviewbrah video about fast food quality, and I thought I would make my own video just for fun. Essentially, reviewbrah is saying, otherwise known as the report of the week, Mr. The report of the week, thank you very much. No, other than what he's saying is basically the quality of fast food has been getting worse, or at least he's perceiving that it's getting worse. And even for, some quote-unquote higher-end fast food places, they are those places, he mentioned Culver's, but even those places are seemingly low quality, and even if it is decent quality, the price is like unacceptable, since it is in the range of fast food. And then it makes it even worse when you get bad quality plus expensive products. So I'm just going to talk about those things. Now, for me, I would say definitely I would agree with him that fast food quality is not even close to what it should be, or what it used to be, or whatever. And he was asking about reasons. So and this is related to pricing as well, and I'm going to go through, I guess, at least 2 or 3 reasons. So first of all, I would say, over the last, if you're finding more of that in the last 2-3 years, it's especially because of what's been happening, with inflation. It has a big part of it, although it was even starting before, there's been such a panic about inflation. But essentially, the product is not, cheap, fast, and good anymore. It's no longer cheap, it's no longer good, and it's sometimes no longer fast. But essentially, I don't think they can keep up with the cost of living and the cost of the product. They're sourcing the product, whether it be the factories making the potatoes, the beef or chicken or whatever it is. They are not able to keep up like they once were. And especially when you factor in, and this is where quality comes in, the cost of living. Because, the people that are working there are the ones that are making the food. It's the people that are making the food. And it's the people that might be able to ensure that the quality is decent. But generally, if you talk to anyone who works in fast food or who has worked in fast food, it's basically a very, unpleasant experience. They're not getting paid, in their opinion, probably enough to care or to try or, to feel good about their job or anything like that. And it's like, well, anytime you're doing a job, whether you're getting paid a lot or if you're not getting paid a lot, you should be doing a good job. And of course, that's part of your value system. I mean, of course I believe that. But still, how motivated could these people be to do a great job when they are essentially, if they work there, if they're working there to make ends meet, they're going to have another job as well. And if they have another job, chances are they're exhausted, working, 2 jobs or whatever. And, it's like thankless work, right? So I think that's part of the problem. I mean, it's just the economy really doesn't support these kinds of juggernaut, fast food places. Now, I'm just going to go back as far as a little bit of history is concerned, because most of these places, whether you're talking about McDonald's, Burger King, even if you want to talk about places like A&W in the past, or, you know, these places started out, a lot of them, when they started to get popular around the 1950s, okay? Now, in the 1950s, you know, you had a situation where these were places that were owned by, by the owner of they were operated by the owner of that restaurant, okay? You know, and so it was important to them when these restaurants first got started. It was important to the owners of these restaurants that they provided quality, because they owned the restaurant, and, you know, they wanted to make something important for themselves, for their future, for their family. Now, at this point in time, so this is getting into the second point of it, is at this point in time, most of them are owned, through a corporation, and they're publicly traded corporations. In other words, they're on the stock exchange, okay? And the value of their stock depends on, whether their balance sheet looks good or not. In other words, keeping their costs down, right? Speculators who are thinking about investing in XYZ company that provides fast food, if they're publicly traded, they're going to look at, okay, what's their cash flow like? How much are they spending? So that a big part of that's going to be, they can't, spend a lot on their employees, because that's going to look bad on their balance sheet and their cash flow statements and all that. It's going to look bad, and people aren't going to invest in those companies. So they have to spend, the right amount of money in the right places, especially as far as the shareholders are concerned, because they're going to make sure to protect the price of the stock, and a lot of these places are controlled. The franchise controls them like with tyranny, basically. Like, you can't go outside of what the franchise wants, and in many cases the actual owner is not making that much money because they're spending so much based on what the franchise is telling them they have to spend on, whether it be signs, promotions, doing things a specific way to match all the other locations. I mean, it's not cheap, right? So there where you get, okay, franchise that's well run, you're going to get somewhat consistent results, but at the same time, you're not going to be able to allow an individual owner to take ownership and change things and make it their own, or make good decisions if they need to. Sometimes you just, we don't have that control. We don't have, the ability to make certain changes. So again, that's a completely different, that's a completely different kind of perspective than when these original companies, when these original brands were started out in the 1950s. There were more of a spirit of individual ownership, and probably less of a focus on trying to increase the value of your stock, and for looking for your shareholders, etc., etc. So I think that's part of it, right? Of course, that's not why would it have changed in the last 5 years, but I mean, I don't think that at this point you can have the glory days of, like, I remember when I was, in university, if you were like, okay, you know what, I need a cheap meal, you could go and get like a McDonald's cheeseburger for like unbelievably, like, I can't even believe how little it cost. Or even, a Burger King Whopper Jr. or something, Like those were like, it's like nothing, And nowadays, it doesn't really feel that inexpensive, especially when you're looking at the food and you're like, well, this is really not that great, So, the discount menus are not really discount compared to what they used to be. And I think just people are just, they're finding that. And then, again, who do you have that is cooking your meals? The only people who are going to work at those places are people, that's their very first job. Most of them. You're working at McDonald's. This is like, that was my first job, right? These are kids, basically, and yeah, often you're getting the wrong stuff, incorrect items, and I mean, I know I had been out of work for a while, and, when you're out of work for a while, like, well, maybe I'll take a job just doing anything just to get some money rolling in. I mean, I'm sorry to say anyone that works there, but I'd be so freaking ashamed if I was like, yeah, I'm working at McDonald's. Like, I mean, does it have to be that way? I mean, could there be some pride in, like, yeah, you know what? We serve good products and I work there, but no, it's known that it's just a terrible place to work, whether it be McDonald's, not just McDonald's, Burger King, wherever, any of those fast food places, so it's just, you're not getting the quality employees because nobody wants to work there. So if the employee isn't very, high quality, not that, because they're young and inexperienced, not that there's anything wrong with their brains or anything, but, young, inexperienced people, you're going to get, poor quality food, So, I mean, what I would think is that what they probably should do is they should probably make up their mind about what kind of establishment they want. Do they want an establishment that serves inexpensive food, that is a good value, and has a decent quality? Then, maybe you have to make some decisions about, maybe stop offering so many fancy items, bring it back to the basics. Like, what made McDonald's so unbelievably powerful? By the time the late 70s came around, they were like, had taken over and were in every city, whether in Canada or US, any major city had a McDonald's. And why did that happen? Was it because they had these really fancy food items, which they have today? No. It's because they had simple food items that were inexpensive, cheap to make, easy for any teenager to assemble them, and you could keep the quality consistent because it was a simple product, right? Now, I find, too, you go to McDonald's or any of these places, and they got the, super quadruple king, East Indian style burger or whatever. I mean, what do you expect's going to happen, right? You try and complicate things so much, and it's like, well, what are you? What is your competitive advantage? You're an inexpensive restaurant that serves inexpensive food quickly, right? Like, any way that you're going to mess with that formula is going to be disaster, So, now, if you want to have a place that sells higher-end food, that's a real trick, because in order to get that quality that people expect, you're going to have, some kind of quality employee, which means that a quality employee is one that has some experience and has some pride in what they're doing. And, just the way it is right nowadays, they don't really want to pay anybody a decent wage, And so, like, maybe if it was a restaurant that was like that and they had waiters, they could at least get tips or something, you know what I mean? But I mean, you know, most fast food, you don't really, even the higher end fast food, you're not going to have a situation where there's tips or whatever. So it's just a problem, right? And I think it's a combination of those things I mentioned. First of all, the menus are getting too complicated. Second of all, there's, you know, individual ownership of the restaurant and control of the individual by the individual owners in order to make a difference is just not there, you know, and it's more of a corporate enterprise where they're trying to keep, you know, costs extremely low, and it ends up in a certain type of product, and yeah, also the, you know, just costs are going up. You know, that was the first point I had. Like, just, I think everybody would agree that minimum wage, I mean, probably needs to go up for a lot of people because of the, you know, what the issues that are going on with the economy. I mean, if you did a survey, I think, and I've seen this someplace, I could probably post the actual numbers from an actual survey that I saw the other day. Most people agree that you know, having an increase to minimum wage is a good thing. But the thing is that as those costs go up, like the cost of the service, the people who are servicing these restaurants, as those things go up, they have to cut costs somehow, right? So that's a huge problem. And that's going to continue to be a problem until there is an adjustment in the marketplace where, okay, people are earning enough to spend the money that they need to spend so that people can get the quality of the merchandise that they want, right? So, you know, those are problems, and I don't know if there's an easy answer to that, but I think that, you know, within there lies the problem. So, like, I'll just from I'll just add as a last thing, for, you know, for me, I no longer go to fast food, like almost never. The only time I go is like basically for my boy. You know, my son likes that, and, you know, I get some fries or small things from there. But as far as I'm concerned, like, I make my own meals at home. Like, I can make something way better at home and way cheaper, and it's just ridiculous. Like, if I was to, like, nowadays, if I was for my family, we only got 3 people in my family, you know, me, my wife, and my son. And if I was to go to, like, McDonald's or something, and we're just to, you know, just to eat what we want to eat and be full and not be, you know, just getting, you know, the bottom of the barrel stuff, like, to actually get full off of that, I'm looking at, like, probably $30. You know, it's going to be like $10 for each person, basically. Which I'm like, you know, like, based on what you're getting, that is not worth it at all. Like, I can go to the grocery store, $30 worth of groceries, I can get, like, you know, I get enough food that'll probably last me like half the week, maybe even more, depending on what I'm buying. Like, if I'm into pasta or whatever it is, like, you can get, so it's just not worth it, and the quality's not there. And I, you know, over the years, like, I'm getting kind of older now, I've learned how to cook. Like, I know how to cook things so that they taste good. And, you know, I can add healthy items into it, like vegetables or whatever, you know. So, no, and I think a lot of people are thinking the same way, like, because it's not like before when it's like, oh man, I need something fast and cheap, and you could at one time get something like super cheap, you know, at fast food. Like, you know, I mean, I'm dating myself now, but, you know, I mean, you could get like $1 per, you know, small burger, or, you know, and I remember, like, the cheeseburgers when I was just starting university sometimes were like 50 cents or whatever those were. But I mean, you know, we're going back in the day now, but even still, the amount that all the fast food items, the price has gone up, Like, it's like, is it really? Am I saving any money by going to a fast food place? Like, it's ridiculous. So I don't do it anymore. Like I said, just for my son, because he, you know, he loves the French fries and all that kind of stuff, you know. But for me, no, I'm not gonna go there. So, and I'm pretty much done with them, you know, because of those exact issues that reviewbrah was talking about. You know, quality's not there, so, you know, the flavor's not really there, and then on top of it, it's not really that cheap, so why the hell would I go? I'll just go to the grocery store and get a ton of food that'll last me a whole week, you know, if I want to save money, you know. And if I want something really good, if I want to treat myself, then yeah, I'll spend money, you know, I'll get a takeout from somewhere where you get like a sit-down restaurant, you know, places that, you know, have owners and they have ownership of the quality of their food and they care, you know, and most of those are like locally owned places, you know, not some corporate thing where they're trying to increase their share price or whatever, and they're looking after, you know, their stockholders, you know, share price and all that garbage. So, you know, anyway, it's all good for them, and if they can make it work, you know, then good for them. But it's not really as good as it used to be, or anything that's interesting to me anymore like it used to be. So that's it. If you like some things that I'm talking about here, take a look at my other videos. I talk a lot about, like, you know, vinyl records and all the vinyl records I have and some of the hobbies, and I even have music that I've posted. So if this video ends up being interesting to you guys, check out some of the other videos. I got like a variety of weird stuff on there, so some of it's funny and some of it's just me talking. Anyway, I wanted to point out one more thing before I let you go. I saw this really great local graffiti artistry here, and if you take a look, this is really great. This is a local artist who is into graffiti. He did this wonderful spray paint of a banana standing upright with 2 coconuts in front of it. And you know what? That's freedom of expression. That's artwork right there, you know. So I really think that we should support our local artists, because that's some, you know, that's talent, and, you know, that's where we should be putting our money, you know, not into fast food, you know. So I really appreciate all you guys, and thanks reviewbrah. Have a good day.